kind of a holistic conversation about, about digital and what it means for a high school campus, and what it can do for a high school campus. And, everybody that's been on this call kind of comes from a different walk of life within a school setting. So I'll kind of bounce some topics, and go to, a couple different people. And I'll start with you, Jason, since you've been our customer probably the longest. And then I'll kind of go to Kurt, and we'll kind of weave our way through this conversation. So, with that being said, and this isn't so much a digital scoreboard, project or roundtable. It's more of educational roundtable to be able to help schools and help administrators understand why would they want to jump into the digital world at their campus. And so that's really the kind of the light that we're coming at from this, because a lot of ADs around the country will watch this video over the next weeks once we follow up. So with that being said, Jason, why don't you just talk a little bit about digital and what, I know the story, but how did it impact Troy Buchanan once you guys went down that road?
Yeah. As Chris said, 5, 6, going on probably close to 6 years now, we got into the digital world. Our biggest thing was we have a school that sits right off the highway. And so we were looking to capitalize on a couple different things. One, the back side of the scoreboard. So we wanted to go big. And then the front side of the scoreboard where we could do a lot of different. And I really loved what they were doing with the refurbished boards at that time. And so as we started talking size, we went big, and we went as big as we could go. And like I said, for two purposes. The backside is really not something that interests you, but it has brought in quite a bit of revenue with it being on the highway. But because we went so big, because we wanted the highway, then we were able to really capitalize on the front, not only with the digital ads, but also the static ads are on the front. And, throughout the game, the advertisements are flashing through there, which is then drawing attention to those static ads. So there's a lot of interest in all avenues on that board, whether it be the digital or the static. I think the biggest thing that it's done for us, and right now, our school has not been a strong football school. We've had very few winning seasons, but 3 out of the last 4, we have won. Well, this year we went to the Final Four, and that's first time in school history. 8 wins previously was the most wins we'd ever had, which we did in 2019, and we won in 2020 or 2018. We'd won 7 games. So, and this is the most success we've ever had. I will say that I think that the digital product, really, like with the combination of putting in a turf field and our field house, kind of our overall project there, really stimulated the community and also the interest in the football program. So the ways that we're capitalizing on it is obviously selling the advertisements. We have a pretty big section of the board, 2 of them, that we rotate the ads out every 5 seconds, and they rotate in and out throughout the game. We offer those up at each advertiser gets 4 different ads. They can have 4 the same if they want, but they get 4 different ads, and we run those through, and we get $1,000 for each one of those. And then we also have opportunities for them to sponsor a touchdown or first downs or red zones or flag on the play, be safe driving home, all those different avenues. Those haven't picked up as much as I think they will now, that we're getting bigger crowds. We had the largest crowd that we've ever had, and we were actually lucky enough to host the Final Four game, biggest crowd we've ever had. We had a huge tailgate. So I think with that, we're going to bring in more people, which is going to bring in more revenue that the board will be able to get revenue off of. Got a phone call this morning from a guy that used to be on the board. He's not anymore, wants to go back up and wants to start throwing out t-shirts. And so, I think that by having that digital, you're not limited on the number of spots you have anymore. We can go unlimited. We can go 100. We could have 100 different sponsors, and they're rotating throughout the game. And with your static signage, it's great. It's up all year round, but you are limited on the number of spots that you can have.
Not to put you on the spot, but and you don't have to be exact here, but what would you estimate in an annual, in a year, in a school year, you guys generate in advertising revenue on the front and the back side of that board?
Front and back side, we're probably pushing 80 grand right now. That we're bringing in. I did try to do some quick math here, as Kurt was talking earlier, because I thought maybe that question might come up. But that I see that continuing to grow. We got a huge breakthrough through MoDOT for that backside of the board. Not that anybody cares, but if you have a similar situation, I know in Missouri, we were able to get approval through MoDOT. They had told us to take the ads down. We put them up. We asked for forgiveness and not permission, and they told us to take them down. We fought them. Jeannie Riddle's office in Missouri, the state senator, her and her secretary went to bat for us, and basically MoDOT, with some stipulations, allowed us to keep those ads on the back of the board. So that's $20,000 a year that we're able to generate right there.
So on your board, I mean, you guys have, I think, an alumni of your school might be a past Olympian, correct? And hasn't she came back a couple times, and you've done some highlight and maybe some video reel stuff of her on the field to kind of tie in the whole community a little bit?
Yeah. So we've had several different situations like that. We went back to back weeks this year. We recognized somebody. Deanna was early on. She is an Olympian. She threw the hammer for the USA team, but she was over at Carbondale over in Illinois, and threw the hammer over there. Of course, we don't have the hammer in Missouri, but she threw the discus and shot for us. She was a 3-sport athlete for us. She's a hero here. We were able to bring her back, put up video on the board while we're recognizing her, pictures, just some highlights of her career. We did the same thing with a former coach that passed away a few years ago. He was the all-time winningest coach that we had in our football program. So we were able to dig up an old picture of him coaching. And when we honored our coach for breaking that record and really honoring that family, the Rhodes family, we brought them out. We were able to put that huge picture on that big screen, and meant a lot to that family. A coach that is retiring this year, 29 years in our football program. We're able to do the same for him. We had a volunteer that received an achievement award, and again, able to do the same thing for him. At a quarter break, brought him out, brought his family out, put pictures up on the video board, and we're really able to just add to the presentation.
Sure.
Rather than just have the words, we have the pictures. We've been, and Frank, you're really good at the video stuff, and I've seen your hype videos, and we've had a couple of those done. Just most recently had one for this season going into that Final Four game, and to be able to put that up on the screen with the music, it's just unbelievable what it does to your excitement of your crowd and the involvement that they have. Our third downs, it's Get Loud, and it's flashing up there, and it's just we do have the replay capabilities. We've got a new Huddle Focus camera that we have up now that we're using, and we have a technology. Our head of technology is really this is a key, guys. Having somebody on board that has that background and the technology piece of it. That's not me, and I've learned a lot, but to have somebody on staff that can do that, most importantly, and this is what I told Chris this, and I've told my principal this, and he's a huge basketball guy. played college basketball, went overseas and played basketball professionally, and he wants the video board in the gym, and I do too. But I told him, give me a class that can run it, and then we'll put it in the gym, because it does take manpower to do these things, and the kids can gain so much experience by doing it that it's just twofold that everybody can really benefit by having that. So that's next. And he tells me next year we will have the class. And once that happens, then we're going to get the cameras back out. Then we're going to shoot the sideline videos. Then we're going to go to the softball field and the baseball field and the soccer fields and shoot video. And then at halftime and pre-games, we're going to have videos up there on the board, and really engaging the entire school community, band, etc. They go to compete. They're there that night. Cheerleaders and dancers, they go, they compete, to have some highlights of them on those Friday nights when they're out there. I think is going to be another huge part to that. So
I appreciate
we do have the cameras.
Yep.
And we tried to go wireless, and I think we have a better capability of doing that now. I would, in a setting at a stadium, unless you have a really good wireless signal, I would recommend the wired cameras. It's just quicker and cleaner.
For sure. I appreciate that, Jason. Does anybody got any questions for Jason? You bet. Go ahead, Augie.
St. Bernard's. How you said that you guys had the Huddle Focus camera system. How is that working for you? We've been looking at it. We've been also looking at the NFHS one as well, but there are some things that we're concerned with the NFHS stuff in terms of just keeping it all private content and can't, share it too much without privatization and all that. How's the Huddle Focus been working for you guys?
It's awesome. I wouldn't have it any other way. We've got it in the gym last year, and then we were able to get it. They just came out with the stadium one this year, and it is so easy. It follows the action. Nobody mans the camera. Mm-hmm. It's in the gym. It follows the action, and it automatically streams to our YouTube channel. And it is the greatest thing ever. We're hosting our basketball tournaments this week. We're using 2 different facilities. We have Huddle Focus cameras in both gyms. They're both streaming to our YouTube channel. And so the people that can't make it out to the game, they're able to watch that on a stream. So it is so easy, so simple. What we run into with the playoffs is Misha's got to get their hand in it. And so they want a little piece of it. And what ends up happening is you have to run it through Misha TV. So you just have to do a few things different, but again, it is something that you can still run through Misha TV, but you can no longer, once the playoffs start, you can't run it on your YouTube channel.
That's the same thing with here in California. We're pretty bound to the NFHS network, and but we run all our stuff through YouTube as well.
The Huddle Focus, they're very proud of their product. But man, if you've got the money, I think it's worth it. Absolutely. And our coaches use it. I mean, they use it to scout. We've got they stat it. Huddle stats their games for them, so the coach doesn't have to go and grab the stats and put all that information in, and everybody's dying to see it in the newspaper the next day and wondering why it's not in there. Huddle Focus does that, and they turn it around in 40 or 24 hours. Huddle is, I'm sure something else is going to come along too that's going to compete with them, but right now, it's the way to go in my opinion.
Appreciate that, Jason. And thanks for the question, Augie. One of the things to expand on that, and then we'll jump around, is there's also some integration capabilities where the Huddle Focus can plug in and integrate into your video boards as well. So while your Huddle Focus is streaming, you can take that feed in and have live video running on your video boards as well, whether it's in your gym or your football field. So there's some nice opportunities to tie in those 2 systems together. That same thing does not apply with the NFHS Pixelot system, but it does on the Huddle side. So to Jason's point, just another nice caveat as to why that system really works in a digital setting. So appreciate that question.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, on that, this is just something that came to my mind as you spoke there. I would guess that it probably wouldn't be as seamless, but I would guess there's opportunity for advertisement on that through that stream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can, if you stream it to your video board, you can overlay a logo. So somebody's sponsoring your live video content, different things like that. So there's certainly some sponsorship opportunities there on the video board. And then there's certainly some obviously on your YouTube channel as well, as you get creative and, you know, as your class that you guys are going to start gets more robust. And we'll talk about a scenario with Ladue High School here shortly. And we'll show a video on this meeting of what they're doing. And I think if you haven't already seen that video, Jason, it's something I can send you. You can show your principal, because it will literally transform your campus the second that a school embraces that. So I'll show that here in a few minutes as well. So I appreciate that, Jason. And Kurt, if it's all right, I'd like to jump over to you. So Kurt Stuckman's with Executive Director at Quincy Notre Dame High School in Illinois. Very strong, successful school, both academically and athletically. About 425 students in West Central Illinois. So Kurt, if you wouldn't mind, I know, you know, revenue generation has been a huge part of digital at Quincy Notre Dame, both on the indoor and outdoor side, as has fan engagement and some different things like that. But would you mind jumping in and just talking about what's digital meant at Quincy Notre Dame, because obviously you have it in the outdoor and also in the indoor?
Absolutely, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity. And Jason, I must tell you that each time my wife and I drive through Troy on the way to St. Louis, the first thing I do when I go under the overpass, I look over at Troy and I look and I think to myself, what are they building now? I think I'm jealous, if anything, of the expansion there at Troy. It's a beautiful campus, and just want to commend you on your efforts there. It's quite an impressive facility, no doubt.
Thank you very much. We're very lucky, for sure.
Regarding Quincy Notre Dame, we very much mirror a lot of what Jason's talking about as far as we're doing here. We've been working with Chris probably 5 or 6 years. It really started for us when we put in an athletic turf field. We had a field that was it just wasn't good for us. In fact, it was an old landfill several decades ago. And of course, trying to get the proper nutrients in the soil or whatever to grow grass was a continual challenge for us. So we're playing soccer and football on that field, and it was a challenge just trying to make a playable surface. So once we put in the turf, really the next conversation with Chris was, and I think it's fair to say, Chris, we were one of your first guinea pigs, really in trying to get this outdoor board going. And we put up what we consider at that time a very large refurbished board. But I think the best way to describe it for us is it made our campus come to life. And I think that's the best way to say it from an outdoor perspective is we feel like Friday nights at 10th and Jackson here at Quincy Notre Dame is Friday Night Lights. It's a great place to play, great environment. Tons of people come out, but I think the board just really transformed our Friday night experience regarding the hype videos. Even with the medical practitioners in our community, you know, at the end of each quarter, we're running small length commercials for advertising purposes for them. And it really made it feel like it's a collegiate type of atmosphere for us on Friday night. And it really just kind of amped up the electricity that you would see here on Friday nights for our games. We're similar to Jason as well. We do have the Huddle Focus camera. This was our first year. We had it outside, and we also have it inside. And I would echo Jason's sentiments. It has been seamless for us. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing for us to have programming in the games. Camera automatically kicks on, camera automatically kicks off when it's done, streamed to our YouTube channel. It's really been a blessing for us. The challenge with that always is, you know, how much of that is related to you have the camera there, have access, how does that hurt your gait? You know, you have all those conversations, but we felt like that was in our best interest based on what we were already paying out for huddle services. It was just slightly more across the board for all of our athletics to chip in and just make up the difference of about $1,500 was all it took to get us where we needed to be for the Huddle Focus cameras. So that was really great. You know, regarding the boards in our school, we have about a 16-foot board inside our gym that we had run continuous ads on a scroll. And we've done some video things in the gym there. In fact, we just secured a deal with Chris that we're taking down one of our very old the individual bulb type of scoreboards that's been here since 1974. And we're excited to have that thing gone. It's a big albatross. It's about 21 feet wide. And so we're putting up a 22-foot board, digital board that'll go up in March. And I think it's the same thing really for the inside as it is the outside. It's that electricity that it produces, whether it's player profiles or hype videos and things like that. It just really creates a great environment, even outside of the advertising revenue, which, for us, we're doing the best. We're a small Catholic school, as Chris had mentioned, is trying to sell, advertising for the board. And we generate about $50,000 a year. I really believe in my heart of hearts, if we have the appropriate amount of staff time, we could probably generate $100,000 a year. I really believe that. And so when, Jason, when you mentioned 80,000 in your metro area there, that's not a surprise at all. I mean, with per capita, you guys have a lot more businesses, a lot more people, things like that we have to draw on here. But also a few years ago, we ran out of physical space regarding our athletic Hall of Fame. And so we put in a digital wall of fame that we have in the front entrance of school. And that thing has really been fantastic for us. Been a great touch screen. Anybody can come by and click on and say, hey, who was inducted, as the class of 74 basketball team been inducted. And you can type in names and classes and things like that and jump all around the place as a quick reference to see who's been historically in the Hall of Fame. And so we've been very proud of being able to have that just because of physical space limitations that the wall of fame, the digital wall of fame for us has been a huge asset for what we're trying to do here. We use the boards in our gym for, as we have mass in the gym, we use it to put up song lyrics, the various readings, things like that, so the students can follow along. As Jason mentioned, hype videos, our player introductions. We've used it for choral concerts before that we have in the gymnasium since we don't have a performing arts facility. I already mentioned about the running of the commercials. I mean, sometimes I got to be honest, sometimes we run those commercials, it kind of gives me chills because the commercials are so crisp and it just looks and feels so professional in how things are done and how it looks and how it comes across, more importantly, to those people that we've sold ads to. So I can't say enough about our relationship with Chris. So with this new board coming in for us, we have a board on our football field. We'll have 2 boards in our gym, and then we will also have the digital wall of fame that I mentioned to you as well. We do have advertising packages that we sell that goes out in the community to do that. We've not got into the curriculum aspect of things yet. Again, it comes down to staffing. As a small Catholic high school, it's tough. Right now, we have student volunteers who run things for us that do a marvelous job. As mentioned before, Frank does the majority of our videos. He does 99% of our videos. Otherwise, there may be something we do small in-house, but Frank basically does all of that for us. We're very happy. It's been really quite a transition for us. And I just can't emphasize enough that it brings to life your campus. And I think that really, in a nutshell, summarizes the experience of the digital boards for us at Quincy Notre Dame.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kurt. And, and it's, when you think about schools and all the touch points that digitals have with schools, and I appreciate you touching on the wall of fame, piece, because those are things that people just kind of, when people think digital, they think, oh, I could never afford a big video board on my football field or in my gym or whatever. But there's so many other digital aspects. And that's what I liked about the CNAA setting up this roundtable in the manner that they did, about talking about digital and locations and budget and what it can do for a school, because that wall of fame in your lobby, with it being interactive and people being able to walk up and look at Hall of Fame members dating back to the 60s all the way through the 2021 inductees, and then like schedule updates and score updates and stats and the different things that you're doing with it. I appreciate you going there, because those are things that people can do pretty inexpensively to be able to really bring digital to life at their school. So I'm going to show a quick video real quick, and this this will kind of encapsulate Quincy Notre Dame and how you tie in faith with athletics and with digital. This is just a quick little video that they did. I think this is the 2019 soccer program. They got a very storied soccer program at Notre Dame, and this is just a little quick video here.
That thing still gives me chills.
So, I show that because it's just a little bit of an idea. I mean, that played, correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but that played before every home soccer game of the 2019 season. So that was our hype video.
Right.
And it's just a way, I mean, to Jason's earlier point about changing the atmosphere and changing what the involvement is about athletes and non-athletes, and how do you bring that whole school community together. When that would play in pregame, man, the student section was going crazy and the fans would go crazy and give people chills. And honestly, doing things like that really helps the sponsorship side of it as well, because now sponsors are starting to buy into the program as well, and just kind of gives a little bit of a different feel. So Kurt, I appreciate you being on the call and sharing. I thought that video was just a good way to kind of tie in, what Quincy Notre Dame and what digital, can mean to the school. So I appreciate that. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to go to somebody that isn't an athletic director or an executive director or what have you, but has incredible knowledge about what digital can mean to a school from a curriculum standpoint, because not only does he help schools with this, but he's passionate about it as well. So Frank, I appreciate you being on the call this morning. Can you just kind of talk about, I mean, one of the things that you're really good at is going around and meeting with schools and talking to them about, how can they take this beautiful piece of digital asset that they've purchased and really bring it to life? Because that's, at the end of the day, to Jason's point earlier, these digitals are only as good as the people that you have there to run them and to use them for what they can be. And your job is to help schools learn how they can do that. So can you touch base on that a little bit? You're on it. Yeah, there you go. You're on mute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So for those who have joined on since I introduced myself during the panel part, my name is Frank Can. I own a video production company that does a lot of work in visiting schools that have digital scoreboards. And a lot of these schools are Catholic schools. And I have a real passion for Catholic education as well. But one of the things that always crosses my mind is that when people are going to the decision of a digital scoreboard, there's just so much on the plate. It's how do we raise the money? Where are we going to put it? Is this going to really drive revenue? Who's going to run it? There's just so much that goes on. And it's one of those situations where I feel that if you take that pressure off yourself and you just start by starting. So some schools are not doing a whole lot, but every single year they're doing a little bit more. And I think that's really where the focus needs to be. It's not that you need to have live video right away with instant replays and hype videos and television commercials. And while I say all that, that's just another reminder that the opportunities are endless. But for some schools, it's as simple as, boy, this really cleaned up our campus. Our fences used to look like an outfield minor league baseball stadium. And now our campus looks beautiful because now we can rotate the logos digitally. And if that's all you accomplish in day one, you're still that much further than you were the next year. On the flip side, I've gone to other high schools where it's absolutely tied into their curriculum. Chris had mentioned a school in the St. Louis area. And part of their story is that curriculum is really driving the whole thing. And I always know that there's this whole academics versus athletics and that kind of a thing. Why are we putting so much money towards athletics that makes us look, like we're, where I'm going with all that. And really, at this particular school, curriculum really is driving everything. They went from having 14 kids kind of interested in doing kind of a video club or whatever they wanted to call it. And 2 years later, there's 144 kids, kind of a waiting list to get into this program. And they are doing everything from green screens to the Hall of Fame to senior night. They have a game day crew, which blows me away. And I understand that that's the extreme other side, but I really believe that as long as you're growing and you start by starting, that's really the key to all this. So some schools are saying, hey, we're nowhere near that, and they'll turn to some help with a company that might be able to help out. But then there's others that have absolutely dove in with the curriculum side of it and having multiple classes and game day crews. And it really is something. So is that kind of what you were thinking about, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, and we continue to hear that from schools, I mean, not to kind of go down the wormhole here of CARES Act and COVID and those type things. But, obviously when the CARES Act money was released to schools, it was for specific purposes, right? And it had a big, facilities and educational or academic push to it. And we're starting to see a lot more schools reaching out and saying, hey, yes, we want to buy a digital scoreboard. We know we want to buy it. We're trying to figure out how, but can you help us with the educational piece? Can you help us with the curriculum piece? Because that just opens up a whole nother avenue. And, in Ladou's case, they don't sell advertising. And so they buy I think it was almost a $400,000 scoreboard for their football field, and they sell no advertising whatsoever. They purely funded it from an academic standpoint, is what it would do for their school and what it would do for their student, for their non-athletes, and so, I knew you could talk, kind of, very intimately about that because you're passionate about, teaching what you do for a living to those type of kids and being able to help schools down that path.
Yeah, so Ladou is a real success story. Part of my job is I kind of follow up and I visit schools after the fact to see what their story is, to see, how they dove into the digital scoreboards arena and that kind of thing. Ladou is interesting. They're nestled in this residential neighborhood, kind of like Quincy Notre Dame is with Kurt Stuckman, and they went through a couple of years where they played all of their games on the road, and part of it was because of redoing the campus, but also part of it is that they have a lot of interesting local ordinances when it comes to sound, when it comes to illumination, and with today's technology, it's unbelievable. I had some people at that school say, you could be in that corner of our stadium and barely hear anything, but if you're in the where the fans are, it's rocking. And so it's just interesting how they went from, we're playing all our games on the road, to here we are, and you know, just getting past COVID. And they were the school that I was mentioning that has a game day crew. They run 3 cameras, it's live video. They do all of the content during the school week leading up to their games in their classes. So the kids are learning about green screen technology. They're learning about cameras. They're learning about editing, and they're learning about deadlines and working as a team. And it is just exploded at this school. And I was able to observe that. And, you know, and I just think that eventually that really should be the end goal, since we are educational institutions, is that eventually it really should kind of tie into the curriculum. They really had to go that route because of you know, some of the things that Chris had mentioned. And but yeah, their classes are just, I mean, like I said, there's a waiting list to get into these classes, and
Yeah,
what they're doing is really special.
Oh, sorry, Frank. I thought you were finished. I'm going to play a quick little highlight video of Ladue and let the school tell the story of what digital has been able to do for the school. And then we'll come back to Frank, and because Frank was the one that shot this video, produced it, and helped the school tell the story. So let me share the screen real quick, and then we'll circle back here.
Ladue is one of the best schools in Missouri, and that's from an academic perspective.
To match our athletic facilities to what was done with the instructional facilities as well inside the building.
Suddenly someone said, hey, do you know we're getting a scoreboard? I'm like, oh, that's cool. I thought it was a scoreboard.
At the time of purchase from Digital Scoreboards, it was the largest digital board in Missouri at the time. Somebody will say, well, why go so big with the digital board? Why go so grand with your stadium and what you're doing? And at the end of the day, it's because we want to build something here that's special for our kids, special for our community. What we saved by going with digital scoreboards, when you look at apples to apples of what the board offers, I don't think that there's anybody in the same hemisphere. Not only is it a company that we trust, you have the warranty, and then you have the customer service on top of that. It was a great cost saving for our district. We've been able to develop curriculum that allows our students to develop all the content that goes onto the board.
Don's classes are bursting with kids wanting to do his class.
Our numbers just exploded from 12 to 144 in 2 years.
But that piece and how it brings kids together and provides opportunities.
The stuff the kids are doing in his class and that my kids do on the crew, colleges are giving scholarships for this stuff now.
We wanted to cover every element of an athletic event in the stadium.
We have 3 cameras going at every game.
And our students do all the operation. It's pretty impressive.
This field and board have really boosted the school spirit here.
From the fans to the band to our dancers to our cheerleaders to the teams, it just amps up the feeling of high school athletics.
That's a game changer.
When we put a video up and I see all heads turn to the scoreboard, then I know we've nailed it.
We get compliments from every visiting team that comes in.
With this board, the installation really wasn't a nightmare. I mean, it's almost like they're on campus, off campus, just like that. And all of a sudden we had the largest board in Missouri. What Digital Scoreboard offers from a warranty perspective makes you feel very comfortable putting their product in your facility. The board's there. It's really neat. It separates us from any other school district or high school in the area. This facility with the board is the complete package that brings everything together for our school and for our community.
So once again, and I'll come back to you, Frank, you know, that's really, I mean, that's what gets us excited as a company, really. I mean, it's great to, you know, do projects around the country, but when students can get involved, and it really goes back to what Jason said earlier, if you've got people that embrace it and can run it and take pride in it, the whole entire thing comes to life. And that's really where the digital asset becomes part of the kind of the community, right? And so Frank, anything else that Don or Nick or any of the guys at the school was able to share with you from, other than what you captured in the video?
The one thing is how far they've come. I mean, that it's only up there for a flash, but they had a pretty rundown athletic facility, and here we are just a handful of years, I think 3 years later. And I mean, they're doing things that are amazing, and a lot of it is coming from the students. Obviously they're a lot more savvy than we are, but they'll do something where they'll make an announcement over the PA to do a hashtag, take a picture of you and your friends in the stands, and they're monitoring whether that is if that's Instagram or Twitter, and then they're capturing that, and then all of a sudden, instantly, it's up on the video board. I mean, that's just amazing. Now, at the same time, I've been to other rural schools, and this just goes to show you that it's not about fancy cameras and green screens and everything else. They'll have an elementary school children with a phone, and they'll just say, hey, my name's Chip Johnson, and I go to St. Mary's Elementary School, and my favorite Trojan, or whatever the name of the school is Bob Johnson, go Trojans. And they throw that stuff up there during timeouts. And the second they see that one of those is about to happen, everyone turns to the video. So it's just this huge engagement thing. And then what Chris was talking about is when you start introducing, your hype videos, and you get a little bit more fancy with things as time goes on, then all of a sudden the local advertisers will say, hey, can I create a television commercial that's different than what you'll see on television on locally, but it will be talking about how we are so proud and honored to be your hometown auto dealer or something like that. And I know that there's always a lot of concerns about, overdoing it with the advertising, and, and it's where do you draw the line? But, I don't know, it just seems like it goes in there. One of the questions that I wanted to ask Chris is when it comes to, you had mentioned that Quincy Notre Dame will run television commercials. I would imagine a lot of schools say, how do you get that to happen? When I was at Ladue, I'm not sure if it's because it's a public school or what, but they really can't get too aggressive with that. I'm not really sure why. He had mentioned something when I was there interviewing the faculty there. They had mentioned something about St. Louis and unions, and so students couldn't be involved in the production of advertising. But what we're talking about, with other schools is they're not doing the production. They're getting the production provided to them.
Yeah, so obviously Catholic schools aren't going to have to worry about the same situation that a public school maybe in a metropolitan area will. But as far as the content side, the beauty is most of the people that are advertising on commercials, whether it be Notre Dame or other schools that we've worked with, those advertisers are sending the finished commercials straight to the school. They're just doing a file swap and uploading them. I know in Notre Dame's case, I believe they've got a Toyota corporate sponsor, and it's handled out of an agency, advertising agency out of Chicago. And every Monday, that agency will upload their commercial for the upcoming week. So most of those commercials are being sent to the school for use. Now, we do have a couple schools that I think there's one in California. I think I've got one or two in Minnesota, one that really comes to mind, where they do all their own production. So they'll bring in, they'll send students and a teacher to the car dealership or to the pizza shop or whatever, and they'll actually produce a raw commercial. Obviously not professional, super high-end quality, but it's actually kind of cool because it doesn't need to be. It kind of ties in that sponsor with the students, with the video board, and with the school. And so I would say, to answer your question, most of the commercials are sent to the school already finished. But in some cases, they're having them produced locally by, a videographer or maybe students, in that situation.
I think the other piece, if I could just jump in very quickly, I think that's beneficial to us all is, unlike print ads in our various sports programs, if anyone, as Chris had mentioned, if any one of our sponsors wants to make a change to their ad or change to their commercial or whatever, guess what? They just make it and send it to us. It's done. I mean, we all have had the headaches of print ads when they want to make a change in a print ad, and it's very labor intensive, as we know. It's extremely simple on the digital side by comparison. So that's another advantage to this whole process is sponsors really have the leeway to make all the changes they want. And what do we care as a beneficiary? It doesn't matter to us if they want to reshape their logo or go a different direction or want to have some sort of different campaign, if you will. It doesn't really matter to us. It just works very quickly.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And you take that a step further, there's a school outside of Chicago, south of Chicago, called Sterling High School. And Sterling, they have a title sponsor. So their stadium is Sterling Chevrolet Stadium. And they also paid for the scoreboard as a title sponsor. They pre-programmed their content to give a permanent ad spot to Sterling Chevrolet. Their ad is on there for every football and soccer game, and they can change their ad as much as they want. So you might get to a game and they might be advertising $49.99 oil changes, and then it might be interest rates, and then it might be, tires, and then it might be their service department, you name it. And so that advertiser is building that content, kind of in the flow of what's happening with their business. One of the things that, I've heard this from sponsors and I've heard this from schools, when you can change the view of a sponsor, or I'm sorry, from a sponsor to looking at giving a Catholic school a donation versus giving a Catholic school an advertising budget, that number grows 10 times. So I mean, you take somebody like a Pepsi that might sponsor a school for $500 or $1,000 a year to hang a banner on a fence. Now Pepsi might be giving that school $2,500 or $5,000 a year because now they're pulling it out of their advertising budget to run a Gatorade commercial or an Aquafina commercial, or now hiring because everybody's trying to recruit employees right now. I was at a school back in the fall in Massachusetts at their first home game, and they had their biggest employer in the area. Every time their commercial ran, it was about now hiring and showing their employees how much they respected them, because finding employees is really, really difficult right now. And so it's just ways for these businesses to kind of infiltrate, if you will, into the true, community side of where that business is headquartered. And so that's the beauty of being able to go digital, is you can just change your advertising as much as you want week by week.
One of the last things I wanted to mention about curriculum is that I'm hearing a lot from schools where it's really helped the campus in terms of bringing non-athletic students into the there's just been a lot of crossover. It used to be that those were the ones that were just involved in theater, and now they're getting really involved in the athletic side. And then it begs the question, well, hold on, do you need to know a lot about athletics to be working these game day situations? And so some of these schools, when they're doing the player cards or the screens or the green screens, everything right now has been kind of an MP4 format. It's just the one that's that all the social media prefers. It ties real easily into the scoreboards. But as you're doing a soccer team, as you're doing a football team, every file is just labeled the player's number. So no one has to know who was that just ran off that 80-yard running back. It's 32. You hit number 32 and bam, it's up there instantly. So there's been a lot of thought behind some of this, but it really has taken away some of the barriers of I don't want to get involved in this because I really don't have an interest in athletics, or I don't know the difference between a first down and whatever. So and so I just wanted to throw out that I found that was an interesting thing that someone brought up is how much it's kind of unified the student body.
Whenever, Frank, from your perspective, and really this could be Jason, Kurt, and then we'll get to Ryan in a second, because I'd like his input because he's the newest member of the digital world from this group. But when you hear from schools, in your case, Frank or Jason and Kurt, how difficult do you find it for people to run the system and get comfortable with sitting down in a press box and at the console and at the computer and saying, hey, we're going to do some fun stuff and show some fan engagement or some video or what have you? I mean, what are you hearing on that, Frank?
Well, I'm hearing that the software on has been incredibly easy to understand. And like I said, a lot of times, you know, these faculty members at schools are really, you know, just kind of monitoring what the students just jump on. And so it's fairly easy to run. But again, you only have to do what you feel comfortable with, as long as you're always growing a little bit. So, you know, you can kind of ease into it a little bit. The other thing too is that I think I had visited I think we were in Mississippi, and it was a baseball game, and you know, they lost power and the whole thing went down, and they were able to pick up a phone and they were back on by the next batter. And so that might have been, you know, more of a service, you know, aspect to it. But, you know, in terms of the ease, you know, these kids are resilient and they're amazing, you know, but, you know, I'm real big on don't be overwhelmed with, yeah, but we don't have live video, or we're not, you know, sending it to YouTube at the exact same time. And we're not, you know, just start by starting and then get a little bit more comfortable, but always say, hey, what else can we do next? And then it'll be amazing how far you've grown in 3 years or whatever it is.
Appreciate it. Jason, Kurt, you got anything to expand on that?
I would just say quickly, again, I would agree with Frank. I think the software is very user friendly. We've had very, very limited concerns with our kids who run it. They enjoy doing it. As Frank said, kids are resilient. They know a lot more about this stuff than we could ever dream of. And so it's been very easy for us.
Yeah, I think that when we dreamed up this project, and I think we did maybe get a little bit over our heads, and because we wanted to do everything that first year, and when we decided, okay, we don't have the ability to do this, and then we just started taking baby steps, kind of like Frank said, you know, you just do what you can and do what you feel comfortable with, and you just continue to grow it, and your people just amaze you. Your teachers that are up there, that's my staff up there, and I try to give them enough workers up there that it's not overwhelming. They told me the last couple of games, hey, we can get by with 2 less people, and so you know, really at this point, they're just kind of in the way. We've got this down. We know what we're doing. And they just kept making it. I was just amazed by the things that they were doing game in and game out. Didn't even run it by me. They were just putting new things out there each time. And I would look up on the video board and we had something new. So yeah, they get comfortable with it. They learn how to do certain things and different graphics, and it has been great. Like I said, I'm lucky enough to have a great crew up there that really care. And have a lot of passion in what they're doing and putting out a good product. So, you know, in that, like I said, in that sense, I'm very lucky. Would I like to do more? Absolutely. I just get so excited when you guys talk about and watching that video with Ledoux, and man, that's what we're going to have. We're going to do it, and we got to get that done. And what these kids, it's just, I mean, we had kids that were pulling videos, and I saw on the Ledoux video that GSV on their screen there. Well, GSV did our hype video for us because they were at all of our games. And so they did that. But before they did it for us, we had kids that were stealing his videos, not stealing because they asked. They reached out to him, made sure it was okay. And he allowed them to do it. So our kids can do this stuff that that I wouldn't dream of doing. They were pulling up and they were making their own hype videos. The kids that just fans and put it out on social media and through our super fans team, our group. And so once we get our kids involved, the sky is going to be the limit, and they're going to drive this thing, and they're going to think of things that we never even thought of.
Excellent. I appreciate you sharing that. We're getting close to the hour mark, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But I'd like to go to Ryan real quick at Notre Dame in Riverside, California. He's new to the game, right? So his equipment's been installed since basically the first week of the school year. And so Ryan, hopefully some of this information has been helpful for you, but also would love to get any feedback from you as to maybe what jumped out at you or maybe your early learnings from digital.
Appreciate that. And, again, pleasure meeting everybody, and thank you all for sharing. It's been awesome. And we're kind of the same boat as Kurt, size wise and everything else as far as student population and resources and budgets and everything. And kind of taking on the same approach as Jason and Frank have said is one thing that we keep saying to ourselves is we just got these. Yeah, we want to do everything and make them awesome and show everybody, but we just got them. We're going to have them for a long, long time. And we have the opportunity to keep just getting better and better and better and showcasing every time. One thing I kind of mentioned that we've been really trying to do to get our culture and community involved is I've reached out to some of the universities who are, in internships with, college kids who are in the digital design and communications and marketing and everything else. And so we've been reaching out to a lot of the universities to see if we can pull some of these college students who need internships to bring them in to help us create videos or the communication side of things. And so that's been one of our ways to just meet up. And then also with the display side of everything, once we put it to fruition, it's out on the front marquee or, in the gym on the big screen, or even as we do our campus tours for new students and everything else, we've been able to kind of make it a little personal for them and do different displays throughout the, TVs and on the field boards, just, welcoming them and everything else. And so that's kind of been one of our avenues to get the boards to play for us and to hype things up. One thing that we have noticed just with volleyball, and as we start with basketball, is, we have 3 other districts that's just really in a 7-mile radius from us, local public school, and they don't have the capabilities, or they definitely don't have that scoreboard. So that's one thing that really helps sets us apart. And you can see it when parents are sitting from a visiting school and they see, our seniors up on there, or just even our players coming in as we introduce them in the starting lineup and stuff like that. And so we look at those ways to just set us apart. And then also on the advertising too, that's one thing that we're really starting to go after. We've had quite a few, and we've been able to see it from both sides, on a donation side and from an advertising side from it. Just with volleyball alone, we were able to raise about $10,000, which has never been an opportunity for us before, because it was just, a program based or something, and to give them the freedoms to change an ad or give us multiple per game has been a great advantage for us in that advertising or campaigning side of things. And it's also given us a ticket to create a display on our board and send that as part of our marketing letters and everything else. Kind of taking some of, Chris's thing when he puts our package together, and you go online and you just snag their information and show what we're capable of giving them. That's helped us out a little bit too, as we start to send out letters and everything, that they can at least see what it is. And some of our vendors who are capable of coming on campus, giving them an opportunity, we've create their display and bring them into the gym and kind of give them that showcase, or create a little video of how their advertisements can go. And I agree with all of you 100%, man. These kids, they enjoy the heck out of it. They love it. we are a Apple Distinguished School, and we're an iPad school here. And so part of that, we have what we call our iCreate course, and it's for our incoming freshmen and our freshmen, and they learn how to utilize an iPad. And so we're starting to incorporate that into that with the video and the GarageBand and stuff. So we're just looking to throw these things in here and immerse them into it. And so we appreciate it and grateful to really grow and get after this. And I love that digital information board for the what Kurt's got going on. That's an awesome idea. So definitely going to steal that one from you guys, because we are a very small campus and limited to what we're capable of doing. So thank you for having me a part of it.
One thing I wanted to mention is I'm seeing more and more schools kind of tie into their Catholic identity. So if you ever go to a University of Notre Dame football game, the team, there's a live feed up on the video of the football team doing the Lord's Prayer before they run out. Now, of course, that that's a whole other technical thing. But then I've been at other high schools where they record that and they make it look like it's live. So they record the team doing the Lord's Prayer. They put that up on the board. It looks like it's live, and then it looks like they're coming right out of the tunnel after that. So it ties into their Catholic identity. And then the last thing I wanted to mention too is with these schools that are doing a lot more with the curriculum and the game day crew and everything else, those students then are very attracted to universities, and scholarships are, if you ran a game day crew in high school, they want you, because there's a huge need on the college university side of running that as well. So that's all.
I appreciate that, Frank. We'll tie a bow on this real quick, guys. First of all, on behalf of myself and all of us at Digital Scoreboards, I really appreciate you guys being here. We're passionate about the Catholic National Athletic Association. We love our partnership with that whole crew, and continue to see that space grow at a massive pace across the country. And it's a fun space to play in, and it's a great mission to be a part of. So for that, I appreciate you guys being here.